I really Thank you, Mila. I really like to bring some intention to our meetings. I know that you probably have a dozen things on your calendar today. So, to help us with flow, we are kind of moving into a new pathway on how we will facilitate and run the meetings. And I am so honored to have Anita with us here today because Anita is really going to help us launch the way that we do our networking. So, normally we start with introductions. Today, we're not going to do that because I think Anita's presentation is so powerful. I really want her to start with that so that as we're going through, we can kind of start to model our elevator pitches. So we're going to have a prime spotlight. Anita is going to talk about her businesses and what she brings to the table, and then also kind of give us some pointers and tips on how to do our power minute. And our power minute is going to be a 60-second elevator speech on how we sell ourselves, how we sell our company, and we're going to practice it here today. And then every single month moving forward, we're going to hone in and get better and better on that elevator pitch. So I'm so excited to kind of bring that to life here in our meetings. And then finally, we're going to close up with our strategy lab. And our strategy lab is really just about helping each other do business and giving each other ideas. Sometimes we get stuck in the midst of everything we're doing and we can't see the forest from the trees. And so that's really what this is about. Are you having some struggles? Where do you need some support and help in your business? And bring it to the tribe. Let us give you some tips and tools. Take what you want, leave what you don't. It's okay. So thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to go ahead and get started with Anita's presentation. There will be some time for questions, and then we're going to start our elevator pitches and introductions. Thank you guys so much. Anita, please.
Okay, let me jump in here. All righty, over here. Let me minimize all of this. Okay. All righty. Everybody can see my screen. Say yay. Or Sipeli, you can tell me.
Yay. Yes.
Okay,
Uh,
because I can't see anybody anymore. All right. Sipeli, thank you so very, very much for giving me the honor of being the first person with this new platform. I am thrilled. And I will save my 60-second elevator pitch for when we go around the room. Unless you prefer I do that now just to give people an idea. What do
um,
you prefer me to do?
Yeah, maybe just an introduction on why I chose you because this was very intentional. Yeah.
Okay, yes, yes. Sifeli chose me because I have a corporate webinar about doing elevator pitches. As you can see, it's called Let's Talk About Your Elevator Pitch. I have moderated B2B networking groups since like 2011. And so I got very good at my elevator pitch and very annoyed at everybody else for not. And then I decided that during the pandemic, when everything got magnified on because we were all on Zoom and people couldn't see me out of the corner of the eyes telling them, time, stop. Um, I just decided that I needed to take what I know and put it in writing so I can send it out into the world, which is what I do. So I'll tell you more about how you can access this um, later on. But everyone here is here because we are networking. This is why we join groups like this. So let's talk about your elevator pitch. Now, what is an elevator pitch? It is your one chance to have full control over the information that a captive audience hears about your business. This is very, very powerful. Now, I'm specifically talking about elevator pitches for moderated B2B networking, which is what this group is. There are different types of elevator pitches. There are pitches for product like Shark Tank, product pitches. There are pitches when you're interviewing. But we're talking about moderated B2B networking meetings where somebody is running the meeting and telling you how much time you have. Now, I will tell you that 30 seconds is the norm. That's why it's called the 30-second elevator pitch. But the moderator could choose to give you 45 seconds or 60 seconds, like Sipele is doing. So you want to come prepared. But I want you to understand that if somebody says, briefly tell us about what you do, that's code for 30 seconds or less. So you always, at minimum, need to be prepared to do your 30-second elevator pitch. And when I say 30 seconds, I mean 30 seconds. So, what is the purpose of an elevator pitch? That's a different question. Well, it's twofold. Number one, to let people know who you are. And number two, to create interest in talking with you again. That's it. That is the entire purpose of an elevator pitch. And spoiler alert, 30 seconds is not enough time to mention everything you do. So stop trying to do that and stop stressing about it and realize that everyone in the room knows that you do more than you mentioned. And why do they know that? Because they're in the same boat you are. They have to give their 30-second elevator pitch and they have more things they do. So everybody can either stress together or relax together. There are workarounds. Number one, you should have, can, but you should have more than one elevator pitch. That could be because maybe you go to the same group every week. And you do want people to know that there's other things that you do. So if you do a weekly meeting like a BNI or the Global Chamber Real Estate Roundtable, you should have two, three, four elevator pitches, and you just alternate through them every week so people hear something a little bit different, but they also get to know who you are on a consistent basis. If you're going to different groups with different focuses, well, guess what? You should have an elevator pitch for each that focuses on that, or have one global one that encompasses them all. That's fine. But bear in mind that you should have more than one elevator pitch. Now, there are different styles, not types, but styles of B2B elevator pitches. The most common one is called the story style. I named it that. And it's used when your services and products all fall within the same vertical. So if you're an attorney and you do IP law and contract law, it's still legal. If you're an accountant and you or your firm does taxes and audits and financial statements and payroll, it still comes under the auspices of accounting. So you can use a story style elevator pitch. Menu style is what I do because my verticals are very disparate. I go from pronunciation coaching to business loans to elevator pitch training to what else do I do? Pronunciation coaching. So I can't use the story style because there's no story to continue. But there's ways to work with both, and I'll touch on that a little bit. Now, what are the elements that go into an elevator pitch? There are seven of them. The first is a self-introduction. I'll explain that more in a bit. You want to talk about the services or products that you provide. That's pretty much a given. You do want to talk about what sets you apart from your competitors, if that's the type of elevator pitch you're doing, and the benefits of doing business with you. Those two are interchangeable, by the way. You might focus more on one than the other, depending on what your types of products or services are. And then you want to talk about the types of clients or industries that you serve. And then you want to have a wrap up. The only thing that's optional is a tagline. And I could do an entire, in fact, I do, an entire webinar on that. So we're not going to get into it, but it's one of the most fun things, or it can be one of the most heinous things if you have somebody that includes a tagline that really shouldn't, and a friend should tell them that they shouldn't. So, anyways, I want to talk about the self introduction number one and the wrap up number six, because while they are the simplest to do, they are always included and they are actually the most important. And you may think that I'm being pedantic here, but honestly, people don't get these right all the time, in spite of their simplicity. So a self-introduction includes a salutation like, hello, if you're in a room or if you're in a virtual room, basically, where people are coming from different time zones and different countries. You don't have to go through the litany of hello, good morning, good afternoon, because every second counts. It's all part of your 30 seconds. So you say hello, like I do, if it's general, because I don't know where people are in the world today. And then you give your full name. That means first and last. And then you give your company and or your occupation, usually either or. And it just depends. If you're a sole proprietor and you're a psychologist, you might just say that you're a psychologist. If you are an attorney and you work for a big law firm, you might want to give the name of the law firm. So that's pretty easy to do. The wrap up is really a reiteration of your full name and your business at the end of your elevator pitch. Now, you may ask, Is that not being redundant? Why should you repeat that? Couldn't the time be better spent on something else? And my answer is no. You absolutely always, 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 always want to reiterate your full name and your business. There's three reasons why you want to do that. One, two, or all three may be true for somebody. First of all, people have very short memories. I count myself in that group. You may have given your name at the beginning of the elevator pitch, but 30 seconds have gone by and you've talked about things. And now I may not remember what you said your name was. And I want both your first and your last so I can find you. So do me a favor and repeat it so I can look you up afterwards. The second reason, and this is not to hurt anybody's feelings, I'm sure it's happened to me, but initially someone may not be interested in you or what you have to say. Or they may be distracted looking at their cat or something, but they may just not be paying attention. And then all of a sudden you say something that catches their attention. And all of a sudden they're like, whoa, I need to talk to that person. Like, what was so just make it part of your ritual. You always repeat your full name at the end of your elevator pitch. The third reason may be they may not have understood you. And I'm not even talking about people with accents. I have plenty of people I've been networking with for years, and they mumble. They are from here, born and bred, but they mumble, and their name half the time does not come out clearly. Maybe they'll do it better on the second, or maybe you catch the first name on the first round and you catch this that their last name when they repeat it. And now you have their full name. But whatever the case is, please, you pay money to network. You want people to be able to find you. Make it easy for them to be able to find you and therefore either use your services or better still, refer clients to you. So make sure that you do these two things religiously and slow down and enunciate so people know who you are. I want to give you a couple of pointers on composing your elevator pitch. Obviously, I can't condense 90 minutes into 10, but there are things that you should know. So, first of all, don't waste time on filler phrases. Don't say what I do is. First of all, and this is not to be cruel, but it sounds like we're back in elementary school. Second of all, you're there. You're literally there. You're present in this virtual room or the real world, real room to tell people about what you do. If this was a print ad, would you really waste, and they were charging you $1,000 a word, would you really waste $4,000 to say what I do is? And that's time as well. Or would you just jump in and tell people what you do? Secondly, try not to use the same connecting word in this in or phrase in the same sentence more than once. And if you can help it, in the same paragraph. It gets to sound repetitive and it causes listening fatigue. And then people start tuning out. So look for alternatives, and there are some wonderful tools to help you do this. You can go to thesaurus.com, or maybe you have an old thesaurus still in your bookshelf. I do, but it's literally falling apart because it's from second grade. So I don't use it anymore. I cherish it as a relic. But you can go to thesaurus.com. It will give you options and alternatives. You can go to my favorite, which is wordhippo.com. I don't even have to type in word hippo anymore. I just hit W in my search bar and it autofills to wordhippo.com. It's very good at giving you not only alternative synonyms, but it will tell you what other uses there are for the same word. But even within the same use, you need to understand that all words, while they may be synonyms, meaning they more or less convey the same meaning, they don't all plug in within the same context in your particular sentence. So you have to use some filtering and make sure that you use whatever you're choosing as an alternative in the right context. Some words work better at the beginning of sentences, some words cannot be used at the beginning of sentences. So make sure you take all of that into consideration when you choose a synonym. Um, you may or may not be aware that within Word, you don't even have to go outside of Word. Most of the time, it has a thesaurus function in it. You just right click on the word. In this case, I right clicked on and. You get a menu. Scroll down to where it says synonyms, then head to the right. You will get 5 options. And if you don't like any of those 5 options, go down to the bottom of that where it says thesaurus, click on that, and you get a much longer list. Of course, you can use ChatGPT and AI. I got called out on a webinar recently because I didn't include it. The truth of the matter that they're going to pull from all these other sources anyway. And I like the original sources because that's what they do. But yes, you can absolutely use ChatGPT and AI. But you have to type in the sentence. What's another word for it? Whereas if you just go to these other websites, they're already designed to give you what the other word is. So just so you know. Now, I want to liberate you and let you know that it is perfectly okay to read your elevator pitch in a meeting. First of all, it's not going to sound like you're reading it totally because guess what? It's your baby. You birthed it, you wrote it, and you've read it over many, 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 many times if you've done it the way you should. So it's not going to sound like you're reading it, but it's fine to have a cheat sheet, especially if you have more than one elevator pitch, because obviously you're not going to memorize the whole litany of elevator pitches. Those days are gone. But you need to be aware of a couple of things. So first of all, you want your elevator pitch to be at eye level so that you're not looking down. It's not, oh, I'm hearing an echo. Does somebody have their speaker on?
Sorry, I just connected on a different device and it didn't auto turn it off. My apologies.
Okay, no worries. Okay. All right. So make sure that you're not reading it off of your desktop looking down because that's like the biggest clue that you're actually reading it. It should be at eye level. And by the way, that's where your camera should be. I'm looking at you at eye level. I'll show you how I have my setup, but if you're not working on a large screen and with a separate keyboard and you're using a laptop, elevate it when you're on Zoom calls. This is a really good tip for everybody so that we're not looking up your nose and getting a weird angle looking at your ceiling. Also, you want to be prepared with your 30, 45, and 60-second versions because you don't know unless you know which you're going to get the opportunity to do. So if you're going to a meeting where it could be whatever, because sometimes moderators may want to give you 60 seconds, but the room is so full, they got double the amount of people. Well, you still have the same time constraints. You've got your 55 minutes or your 60 minutes if you're splurging. So you want to make sure that you're prepared. So if you're going to get cut off, you're the one that gets to choose where you get cut off. So come prepared with all three versions and err on the side of shorter. If you just want to bring your 30-second elevator pitch, then do it and ad lib the rest if you want. But always come prepared with at least your 30-second elevator pitch. And I mean 30 seconds. You want to also practice it a couple of times before the meeting. It's like warming up before your pickleball or your tennis game or your golf game. You don't go in cold. Well, guess what? Your tongue is a muscle and your brain connects to that muscle. It's your neuromuscular connection. So you want to read over your elevator pitch a couple of times before the meeting, just so your brain and your tongue are familiar with it. And then that's another way that to make sure that it does not sound like you're reading it when it comes time. And if you are at an in-person meeting where you're all sitting around a big conference room table and you're going to get your 30 seconds, it's fine to read it. Better to have a prepared, well-delivered 30-second elevator pitch that you're reading than to ad lib it and mess it up and not give people the information that you really want them to know. So I hope that relieves the angst and the stress of writing an elevator pitch. Now, this is what my setup looks like. That is my blind cat Radar, who you've probably seen walk across my screen on more than one webinar. I have it sitting up on a little plastic container so that if you can see my arrow, my what do you call it, camera is right there. And that as I'm sitting back, it's still sort of at eye level. It may look like I'm looking up slightly, but it's certainly better than looking down. And this is what my elevator pitch that is currently pasted up on the back of my computer looks like. So I have my 30 seconds right here. That's the main verbiage here in the regular type. Okay. And that includes my self introduction and it includes my wrap up. That's my 30 seconds. And if I know ahead of time that I'm going to have 60 seconds, then I'll just read the whole thing because I have an additional part here where I lean into the pronunciation coaching. And I have another part down here where I talk about elevator pitches. But my main one talks about the accent reduction, about currency exchange, and about business loans. And those are the three main things that I do. So if I'm only getting 45 seconds, I can make a choice. Do I lean into pronunciation coaching and do I tell people about elevator pitches? But it's always right there in front of me and it's timed and it's rehearsed. And I know that it rolls off my tongue because I've had to rewrite it a million times because the way I wrote it initially it just didn't work when I went to read it out loud because we write differently than we speak. So if you write it one way and you find that you keep saying it slightly differently, like a couple words just come out differently, or you choose a different word just off the top of your head when you're reading it, then rewrite it so you accommodate the way it is more comfortable reading it. All right, so that is the 10-second version of a 90-minute webinar. But I will tell you that my system that you get when you either purchase my workbook or bring me in to do corporate webinars, which includes the workbook, it's like paint by numbers, but for worse. It's really that easy. It's a system that you can use time and time again, so you're never reinventing the wheel. So feel free to reach out. This is my office number. It's not my cell phone, so don't try texting me or WhatsApping me on there. You can go to info@aboutyourelevatorpitch.com, or you can use my regular email, which I put in the chat, theanita@sbpiservices.com. I do offer a discount on the workbook, not on the webinars, but on the workbook for Global Chamber members. So when you reach out, make sure you let me know that you are a member if you and I aren't already Global Chamber buddies. And I will let you know how you can pass that information on to me. Okay. Was
Thank-
that 10 minutes?
That was perfect. Thank you so much, Anita.
Yeah.
Um, before we start our own elevator pitches, does anyone have any questions for Anita? Anything that you want to hone in on before you give your pitch? Yeah,
Marissa.
Marissa.
Yes, thank you. Anita, thank you. Wow, your presentation is on point as we all should have our elevator pitches. So thank you so much for mentioning that. I do have a question about when you say people with accents. Um, and I noticed in your own elevator pitch, you say foreign business professionals. Do you mean foreign to the United States? And do you mean when people have accents, you mean like non-US accents? Because of course, Americans have accents.
Yeah, so that's why I say foreign born. I do work with people that want to lose their regional accents. And so in my longer version, I say region neutral. I teach region neutral American English. Um, Listen, it's you can have any American accent that you want as long as people understand you. If there's a problem there, if half the conversation on the other side is, wait, what? Can you repeat that, please? And there's nothing wrong with having even a foreign accent, nothing wrong at all. People just need to be able to understand you. The only time people want to lose 100% of their foreign accents is if they're just like obsessed with it, or it's my actor clients. Because if they have an
Mhm.
accent, and this
Right.
happens time again, mostly with my Latina actors. You
Mhm.
know, they are repeatedly getting typecast, and we all know what those typecasts are. So they are working diligently, and I have some that like literally they sound like they're from California now. Like you cannot tell they weren't born here, but they're willing to put in the extra work. For most things, like most people who play sports, not everybody has the desire to be an Olympian, okay? Because that's a lot of extra work for the closer you get to your goal, the smaller the increments of success. So most people are just happy with good. And good is absolutely good enough as long as people understand you and you're enunciating. Because, like I said, I have a lot of Native American friends born here
Mhm.
and they mumble. And every time we go to a networking meeting, I'm like, dude, could you please slow down and enunciate your name? People aren't getting it. Um,
Right. So like speech. So okay, because like there is the British accent. Actually, Steph, I just connected with Steph. She's in Dublin. So there is the beautiful Irish accent. So it's more about speech, right? You're talking about more about speech. Thank you for clarifying
Enunciation,
that.
about
Yeah.
enunciation. Yeah, because, sentence structure, even people can get that. And that could use, because there are different parts to communication. There's sentence structure, there's choosing the right words. We have different adjectives. So, the East Coast to the West Coast, we say tennis shoes, they say sneakers. We say purse, they say
Hmm.
pocketbook. But we know what they're talking about because it's used in the context of other things. So that's usually not an issue. It's simply when someone isn't enunciating, because even with a strong accent, if they're speaking slowly and clearly, people will understand them.
Got it.
So
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you for
Yeah,
clarifying.
sure, sure. You're welcome.
All
Any other
right.
questions?
Yes.
I'm trying to save your voice.
Thank you. Oh, okay, guys. If anything comes up through this process, feel free to go ahead and put it on the chat as well, and we'll be monitoring and kind of going through that. So now is the time that we are going to utilize the information that we just learned from Anita build our 60 seconds. I will give you 60 seconds to do your elevator pitch. Um, it's a lot to retain. I was taking lots of notes. So please try to incorporate that into your speech. And we're going to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go around the room. Paula, I am going to start with you, just so you know, because I see that you have kind of some time limitations. And I'll be calling on you one by one. You'll start your elevator pitch. Anita, if you could be listening and then just give us some general feedback, some of the things that you picked up through the process. And we'll catch that at the very end, okay? All right, Paula, are you ready? Actually, I think Paula had to drop already. Darn. Okay. Then let's start with Barbara McKenzie. Are you ready?
Definitely like putting me on the spot. Uh,
Sorry.
so I'm Barbara Engelbart McKenzie. I'm the CEO of Ignition CEO. We help companies scale and provide leadership training and support to emerging CEOs as they transition from founder to CEO. And again, pleased to meet you. I'm Barbara Engelbart McKenzie from Ignition CEO. Totally on the spot.
Wow, that was awesome, Barbara. Good job. Danielle.
Sorry. Okay. Anita, I might look down. Okay. I'm Danielle Orchid, sales executive with Money Corp. I help global businesses save money on exchange rates and lower their FX risks associated with fluctuation in those rates. At Money Corp, we provide competitive exchange rates and tailored hedging solutions so companies can protect margins and move money globally with speed and confidence. Thank you, Danielle Orchid, Sales Executive, Money Corp.
Love it, Danielle. Thank you. And Marie.
Thank you. I'm Anne-Marie Graham and I run AMG Business Consulting. I'm based in Ireland and I work with health and medical businesses in three key areas, helping the practitioner have more free time so that they can make more money in their business and treat it like a business, and also preventing them with burnout and overwhelm. So I typically work with clients for anything from 3 months to 1 year, and I work with health and medical businesses in particular. That's Anne-Marie Graham, and I'm based in Dublin in Ireland, but work internationally. Thank you.
Great job, Emery. Okay, I'm really impressed, you guys. You guys are nailing this. Marissa.
Thank you. My name is Marisa Ortiz. I am the founder and principal consultant of Intercultural Talent. We are a workforce and leadership development company based in San Antonio, Texas, but we serve globally in person and remotely. We have served professionals in over 45 different countries in the last 10 years. We use tools like Lipton Strengths, formerly known as Strengths Finder. We also use Toltec or Indigenous Wisdom books by Don Miguel Ruiz, and other tools such as Nonviolent Communication and Kiss, Bow, or Shake Hands by Terry Morrison. You're welcome to check out our website, www.interculturaltalent.com. We are passionate about helping professionals navigate the global workforce, and we thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Marissa. Marcella.
Okay, I'm going to try my best. I have a really bad cough, so let's see if I can make it through this. Hi, I'm Marcella Mandeville, CEO of Bright Idea International. BII consults on strategic growth, global market access, governance, and customer engagement for corporate, nonprofit, and public sector clients. With 25 years of experience in international business, entrepreneurship, and economic development, we bring ideas into reality. Great to meet you. I'm Marcella Mandeville, Bright Idea International.
Thank you, Marcella. Great job, Coco.
Hi. My name is Karen Wilhelm. I'm a corporate communication coach and consultant. My company is called English Speaking Experts. Basically, I make diversity and inclusion a reality for more sustainability, profitability, productivity, and innovation in organizations in tech and engineering. That's me, Corinne Wilhelm from English Speaking Experts.
Thank you, Coco. Crumb.
Hi, ladies. Nice to see you. My name is Krumpev, and I'm trade representative of company Vemu. We are a producer of food supplements, herbal extract, phytotherapies, and enzymes. We're looking for distributors all over the world, and that is for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Crumb. Steph.
Hi, everybody. My name is Stephanie Gross. I am from Red Deer, Alberta, and I'm the CEO of Bumby Wool. We are a, oops. We supply retailers with sustainable wool apparel, tallow-based skincare, and soap, and we're rooted in circular fashion, and we supply across the United States and Canada. And again, my name is Stephanie, and I'm with Bumby Wool, and you can find me online.
Thank you, Stephanie. Elizabeth.
My name is Elizabeth Cario. I am a transition partners and a founder of Cario Strategy Partners in Los Angeles. I guide senior executives and boards of nonprofit organizations through major transition, the kind that require not only new strategy, but a new way of leading. What makes me different is a combination of finance, because I'm coming from a finance world, and psychology, so the numbers and human dynamics, backed by 30 years of international consulting with the United Nations, European Commission, and so forth. So you will find more information on my website, careerstrategypartners.com, and I invite you to go there and to find the articles I've written on leadership. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Demetris, are you with us today?
Good morning. Let me try to get on camera here. Good morning. Hi, Anita. Thank you. That was wonderful. I am attorney Demetris Evans. And when companies expand into the United States, most focus on an opportunity, but they overlook the risk. So, what would happen if goods were delayed, rejected, or seized at the border, or your intellectual property, your name, your logo was used in that country? As the managing partner of the Evans International Law Firms, I work with companies that are trading with the US, particularly through the Chicago Global Gateway, to build legal and strategic infrastructure behind any expansion. And that includes structuring for market entry, aligning contracts, protecting intellectual property, and ensuring compliance so that you can scale without costly disruptions. Again, I'm attorney Demetris Evans, and you can find me on LinkedIn.
Wow, that was beautiful. Thank you so much, Demetris. Okay, it looks like Tishana will not be sharing today. No worries, Tishana. Even if you don't want to turn on your camera, you don't have to, and you're welcome to share what you do. But
Thank you.
okay, perfect.
Because I thought I was a concern. Hi, my name is Tishana Simon. I am the founder and lead researcher at Data Minders Business Research. We are located in the Caribbean, specifically Trinidad and Tobago. What we do is we bridge the gaps that businesses have with insights to allow them to strategize and make better and informed decisions. When we talk about business research, we don't only talk about market research because that's the first thing that people go to. We're speaking about all sorts of research once it deals with business, antitrust studies, employee engagement, customer engagement, competitive analysis, and economic analysis as well. You can find me at and what we do and our packages, because we have subscriptions, customized services, and research packages for those who find research very expensive. You just have to Google Data Minders Business Research and we'll come straight up. And my name is Tishana Simon again. It's great to actually be here and enjoy your day.
Thank you, Tishana. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. My name is Sapeli Olapai-Tanu. I am the owner and CEO of Olapai Global Holdings, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Core Executive. We partner with struggling, frustrated CEOs and solo entrepreneurs that really need help scaling and overcoming business obstacles. We come in, we work as your partner, we problem solve, we build and scale your teams. And again, my name is Tapeli Alapaitanu. If you want to talk about that or any of the other things, Global Chamber, doing business um, in Mexico, then please let's have a virtual coffee and discuss. Again, Sapeli Alapaitanu, Alapai Global Holdings, and Global Chamber Executive Director, Querétaro. Anita, I'm going to let you close and then give us a little recap of how we did.
Okay, perfect. All right. Hello, everyone. Anita Rodal, president of SBPI Services. Why do you hire a coach in sports? It's not to teach you how to play the game. You already know how to do that. It's to help you play it better. And I do the same thing for foreigners who want to improve their English pronunciation. With a degree in linguistics, I offer private pronunciation coaching on Zoom for business professionals and actors who want to reduce their accents and speak region neutral American English. SBPI Services also represents several currency exchange companies, so we can help global businesses lower their rates and fluctuation risks on their cross-border payments. Within the US, we broker working capital and equipment loans as well. By the way, if you or your sales team need help with your elevator pitches, please visit aboutyourelevatorpitch.com, where you'll find information about my self-help workbook and corporate webinars. Anita Rodal, SBPI Services.
Wow. Love it. Love
Okay.
it.
Okay, so here's a couple of things that I heard from everybody. There's fluff going on. You don't need to say my name is, just say your name. Because my name is, that's like a second and a half. Remember, $1,000 a word, don't waste it. If you're giving your website, you don't need to say www anymore, because everybody knows if there's a .com or .whatever at the end, that's your website. Try and avoid words like basically, because they're filler words. And you could use that time for something that gives more information, that's more valuable. By the same token, what we do is try and eliminate those. I know everybody was doing this on the fly, and those are the things that come to mind. But that's why when you go through a system, because when you go through my system, you're going to come up with so many things that you do want to say that you will literally have to rework how you say things 10, 20 times before you can eliminate the unnecessary words and find a way to say that such that you do come in at your 30 seconds. At the end, it's great if you want to tell people to find you on LinkedIn or give your website, but the last thing that you should leave them with is your name and the name of your company. So your name is actually the most important part of that. So if you have a long company name, you could maybe give that first and then leave them with your first and last name as the last thing you do. Because people were winding down and they gave their name again and they said, find me on LinkedIn or my website. So that's blah, blah, blah after you give your name. It's the same problem as at the beginning. If you put something in between your name and that being your finale, then people may not remember your name because now they're thinking, oh, LinkedIn, blah, 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 blah. It gets them off in another direction. One thing I didn't mention, but I will because somebody said something, it was an acronym. You want to be very careful using acronyms in elevator pitches unless it's totally, totally worldwide understood. Like I always thought CPA was used all over the world as a certified public account. It turns out that it's not. So I no longer use CPA. I say accountants. You notice that I referenced accountants in my talk. And it's fine to use acronyms if you're going to explain them. Like in the course of your elevator pitch, you could say, well, I'm a member of GC. That's the Global Chamber, and then they know what you're talking about. Or if you're in a room of peers from your from the industry you work in, then you can acronym your heart out because everybody knows what it means. But just be aware that in a general setting, people don't know what acronyms mean. And so when they hear something they don't know, same thing happens with accents. All of a sudden, their brain switches to, oh, what does that mean? What could that possibly mean? Let me think. And by the time that they say, oh, no, I need to pay attention, you're done. Your 30 seconds are gone. You don't want to give anybody a reason to be distracted. So avoid acronyms if possible. Take the extra second to just say what it is. And the other thing you want to be aware of is this is a speech cadence that's come about in the last, I don't know, 30, 35 years. But everybody makes statements that sound like questions. In Spanish, we say, like, me lo digas o me lo preguntas. And in English, we say, are you asking me or are you telling me? If everything ends in a question, then number one, you get listening fatigue. Like, I want to slap people. Sorry. Good thing we're virtual here. After the second sentence that ends like a question. So start watching the news. Like your storytelling, it's a short story, but even within a sentence, I don't know if you noticed when I showed you what my elevator pitch looks like, that's plastered on the back of my screen. But where you saw the bolded words, that's my cue to myself to go up. Because if you go up, you have to come down. You're creating a landscape of words. And to make a landscape pretty, it's got to have depth and it's got to have height. And that's what you have to create with your words when you're giving your elevator pitch. You know why you like listening to people. You may not always know why, but I guarantee you, you don't like listening to people that are always at the end of every thought, they're making it into a question. And you just like, will you please stop that? Are you telling me? Are you asking me? It's like, and half of you did that. So you're not aware of it because it's something that everybody has picked up. Sorry, my cat walked across and got fur. So you want to start paying attention to how the people on the news channels, the big, the majors speak, because they speak, number one, they speak region neutral American English, and they moderate how they speak, most of them, 90% of them, 99% of them, maybe. Every sentence is a story. Every word can be a story. Like how many ways can you say, word? You can say word, word. Like we can make anything last longer and have a separate meaning. So multiply that times the words, times the phrases, times the sentences, times the paragraphs, times the elevator pitch. So you have to be aware of what you're doing with your voice so that as you're telling your story, people know where you are in this story. So they're not always waiting for the shoe to drop because you've turned everything into a question. So really, really, really try working on that. It makes a big difference. Those were the notes that I had.
Thank you so much, Anita. Thank you. And everyone, I hope that this is helping you as you continue to go through all of your presentations and global chamber events and all of the networking that you're doing. My goal and our hope is that you continue to get better and that you have a succinct elevator pitch that really helps you turn this into revenue and build the connections that you want to build. Um, with that being said, I am going to leave a few minutes to be able to address any bottlenecks or any issues that we want to bring. But a couple things I wanted to bring to your attention. Two, every single month we will have a prime spotlight for 10 minutes. So if you have a service or insight that you can bring to our team and help us become stronger women in business, stronger professionals in business, come Terry, then please reach out to me. I would love to have you on and to be a prime presenter. Um, and so my contact information is on the side, and please contact me and join me in LinkedIn, and we'll get you on the schedule. The other thing is we have a presentation coming up this afternoon. If you look in the chat, uh, how global businesses are rethinking ESG, trust, and long-term value creation. Please get that information on your calendar and attend that global event as well. Finally, guys, before we go for today, I want to tell you guys congratulations. I don't know how you picked it up that fast because I want to work on this elevator pitch and get better and do better, but some of you are already nailing it, so great job. But are you guys interested Or does anybody have an issue that they're having in their company that they want to share and get some feedback and get some suggestions? Okay, sorry, Coco. What about a session on how to secure and show up as an expert in podcasts as a guest? Okay, that's a great idea. I'm wanting to start podcasting, and so I love that. I love that. Any ideas that you guys have, whether it's being a presenter, starting your own podcast, or just, going in on as a speaker, whatever ideas you guys have, this is about helping us to thrive and survive in the business world. So, whatever ideas you have, I'd love to hear them. But again, before we end for today, anybody with a problem, a bottleneck, a solution, uh, think lab that you guys would want to bring to the table? Yes, Demetrius.
Oh, okay. I was looking for my virtual hand there. So now I'll lower it. Just on the elevator pitch, I've been in business for 17 years. This has always been an issue. I've never quite figured it out. So since I get an opportunity with the professional, I want to ask. So the name of my business is really long, the Evans International Law Firms. So I shortened it to Teal Firms, but then people are like, which is it? So I don't want to confuse people. But I don't know. So your advice, Anita?
So I think the Evans International Law Firms is fine. It tells who you are in the market that you serve. Um, but you can have an abbreviated email address because also when you say teal, I think TEAL. I think color. Um, and it doesn't say anything about law. It says teal because the L is already is part of the acronym. So personally, I think you should. It's a way to advertise who you are every time you send an email or whatever. Um, and then if you want to have a shorter, email, then you can do that, and because people will get that from you. But you can have both so that if you have the Evans International Law Firm, and then you can have a redirect to Teal, automatically for the emails or vice versa, or however that works. But they can be linked so that people know that. And then people that know you and work with you on a regular basis, then they know to use the other one that it goes to Teal, right? But
Right.
especially when you're doing an elevator pitch, I would absolutely use Evans International Law Firm because it says who you are. And remember, the most important thing is if you do nothing else in an elevator pitch, you want them to know your first, last name, and the name of your business. So I would
Okay, thank you.
absolutely use the full.
So you said something on here that I've never heard before, that every sentence, um, every word really matters. And I notice that I go faster through the name because I'm conscious that it is very long. So I think I'm gonna play with that a little bit to see how that rolls out. Thank you for
Trim
that.
somewhere else. Trim somewhere else.
Yeah.
The whole
Okay,
Mm,
point is for people to find you afterwards. So don't skimp on the name.
okay, thank
Demetrius,
you.
that's such a good point. I do the same thing. Thank you. Marisa, we'll close with you today.
Thank you. Yes, I know we're coming towards the end, but it just occurred to me as we're having this conversation, is the elevator pitch an American-centric concept, or is it, a well-known concept around the world? I imagine in British-based, because the US is an offspring of the UK, and of course we all have those sister nations, brother nations, English speaking. Because as I listen, Anita, I think certain audiences in the global South actually may be more comfortable with longer names and a little bit more than 60 seconds, just because the communication style in the global South and in other languages, even though we can all speak in English to understand each other, may be a little bit more paced, right? It may not be as punctual as in the American way of thinking. So I was wondering if elevator pitch it's a global concept.
So whatever it's called, wherever else people do it, it's really about you're in a networking group, and people do networking all over the world, and you still have a meeting. It's not about what people are comfortable with. Like I speak Spanish. I understand the Latin culture. I lived in Venezuela, but this is not what that's about. You have a business meeting and you have a moderator that has to run the business meeting. And whether there's 10 people or 40 people in the room, everybody gets their time to speak. And you have to keep people on time. So if you have a longer name, you have a longer name. You don't always have to use your segundo apellido. You there are ways to shorten it. But it holds true regardless of what language, what part of the world you're in. You want people to be able to find you. So speaking faster because you have a longer name doesn't help people find you. You're just going to have to trim somewhere else. And you have to comply. It's not about you, it's about the moderator. It's the moderator's group. They get to be the parent in the room and say, you've gone over time. You have to run a meeting in a way that it serves everybody. And if one person decides I'm more important or I have a longer name and I'm going to take a minute and a half because I think I should, then it really messes with everybody else and it messes with the moderator and it's disrespectful. So whatever time the person gives you, that's what you give. But again, the most important thing anyway is your name and the name of your business. So if something else in the middle gets cut off or gets shortened, or you can't find a better way to say it, so you eliminate it, so be it. They're going to get the most important thing if you give them the most important things.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you so much for joining us today. Marisa, that's a great question. I live in Mexico and we talk all day long. So I totally get the
I'm
question.
sorry, Sipele, is your name Hawaiian from
Hawaiian.
Polynesian?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, okay.
I am. Yeah. And so,
Yes.
yeah, and as Anita said, I think it's all just about a balance of making sure that when we show up, we give the best version of ourselves and that we're making the best connections possible. That's what I care about. That's what I want all of you to be able to do well or better. And I want to make sure that in these meetings, which I'll be tweaking it for next time, that we're really giving you value and content and things that can help you build yourselves, build your business, and connect because that's what the global tribe is all about. So thank you guys for joining us today. Please add this to your calendar next month and keep joining us. And as I said, if you want to be a presenter and join me, reach out because I would love to have you here. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a
Bye,
nice day.
everyone.
Thank you.
Ciao.